All right, so I am coming to you live from my truck. So there will be some bad sound quality, unfortunately. But I thought, what the hell's going on here? Like, oh, I just go ahead and put these out here. This is impromptu, like so impromptu. I didn't really make any sliders or anything. It's just I'll try and do the best with what I got. But this is just me putting my thoughts out there in the world. Um, so from what I've gathered, oh, where's my thingy? Okay, I guess I don't have one. There it is. So what I've gathered from the male-female dynamic. Why is this interesting to me? Because I'm in a relationship. I finally got into the headspace where I can actually get back on here and talk to you guys, dealing with issues at home and life, etc. As anyone else does, I might share what I got, what I as I'm going through it in real time. Started keeping a journal to kind of jot down my thoughts on a day-to-day basis, or at least on somewhat of a regular basis. And I might dive into that later on about exactly what is going on when it comes to my relationship, my marriage. But I do want to talk about this dynamic, the whole male-female dynamic, because it intrigues me. Of course, there's been some stuff in my current relationship where it's just like, okay, I can't. It's like you can't. When you have something that just gets to you and you can't let it go. You have to understand it. And unfortunately, I mean, well, I don't want to say unfortunately, but that is one of my quirks, which it is actually somewhat of a male trait, where when you start something, you got to finish it. But to me, it's more so like I need to know. I would like to know as much as I possibly can, which actually is a good trait. Learning as much as I possibly can about pretty much everything. And one of those things that is very vital is when it comes to relationships. They can actually build and destroy empires, as what we are seeing today. Entire economies are becoming, how can I say it, for lack of a better word, destitute or on the verge of anarchy because of this very dynamic. So it is important. It is very important. So as I dove into the Charles and Men series, I'm talking about, I still am talking about the characteristics, the true to nature, like basic, bare, this is what makes a man a man. Like you put this in a pot, mix it up, and what comes out is a man. Everything else is subjective, the culture, et cetera, et cetera. All that stuff can change, all the belief systems, all that stuff will change, but what won't change is what makes that man a man. That's what the Trial of Men series is all about. Pretty much looking at every man throughout history, every man in existence today, within no matter what their social background or belief or whatever is, they all have these basic traits, these basic characteristics that make them a man. Same thing goes for women. I might do a series on the women, but I'm focusing mainly on the guys for now. Additionally, this does tie somewhat into one of the plans I got planned, one of the upcoming broadcasts I got planned later. Ooh, I got the thing uploaded on here, which is a rewind. It's a new thing where I just kind of go back on a show that I previously did And it's kind of like me doing a reaction to my own reaction stuff, to my own stuff, and then kind of as need be, like I show how either my perspective has changed on something or to further clarify something. And that's pretty much all the rewind is, just me going back on my own stuff and how I interpreted stuff, and then showing like how things are different or how they're still the same, or to further clarify it or whatever. So let's get into the dynamic. So first thing on the dynamic, and I did write down a little bit of notes, but let me see if I can pull them up without exiting the stream. I'm on my phone, so bear with me, people. I can pull this up. Oh, jeez, I don't even remember which one I put it on. I think it's this one, maybe. Nope. No, it's this one. This one, maybe. Can't really recall which one it is. Okay, this is, maybe I didn't sync it. This should have synced. I'm using OneNote and I wrote down stuff on my computer that should have synced with. So, first things first, the difference between when it comes to winning and losing. This is the first thing between men and women. This is one of the drastic differences. And this is just something I've observed. This isn't something I really kind of I did talk about it somewhat in the Trials of Men series on how it varied between guys, like, participation trophies is not a thing that guys really do. It's either you win or you lose. But this is really more so like diving a little deeper into that and showing the difference of how winning and losing is actually valued differently. With men, the focus is on not losing. Men hate losing. Let me dive into that. Men hate losing. That's not the same as guys like winning. No. When I say men hate losing, I mean men hate losing. Losing for a man, if you look at this game of resources and power, losing for a man means you're at the bottom. Means you're completely vulnerable, and as men, we know nobody's coming to help you. So as a man, you want to prevent ever losing everything that you have. That doesn't mean men don't like winning. It just means when there's an emphasis on winning or losing, men absolutely hate losing. Well, some people will be like, well, guys need to take risks to do this. Yes, guys take calculated risks, and one of the risks is, more times than not, if there is a risk where a guy can lose absolutely everything he has, if it's a 50-50 chance that guy can lose everything he has, or double or triple what he currently has, those odds, he will not take them, because he will be so against losing everything, and he will see that as not being worth the risk. Okay, I could double or triple what I currently have, or I could lose everything. Now, mind you, this doesn't mean he doesn't have alternatives, where he might be able to do a 20-30% increase or something like that. That's more conservative, to where he's not risking everything. But if there was a hypothetical situation where a guy could 50-50, he lose everything, and then or double or triple what he currently has, more times than not, the vast majority of dudes would not take that chance. And when I say everything, I mean there's no family support, no nothing. Like he knows, like he's gonna be on the street by himself. Like there's no like I'm gonna live in mama's basement crap. No, I'm talking about you lose everything and you're homeless. That's what I mean by everything. Some dudes might take the risk because they know they can go back and live with their family and everything, but I'm saying lose everything. I mean literally lose everything. You will be by yourself. Your family won't take you in. You got to get some sort of something on your own. You're homeless. Everything. Most dudes will not do that. In fact, look at how a lot of these red pill guys talk about marriage. Marriage is can be extremely beneficial if you do it right. But look at what the guys focus on in the red pill community when it comes to the risk of marriage. They only look at one side of the consequences. They don't look at the pluses, the positives that could be there. They're so fixated on the losing part that it is extremely ridiculous, and you will find them in echo chambers to where they will spout falsehoods that are absolutely not true. Talking about, like, for example, when they talk about, like, oh, prenups don't work, that crap. Absolutely useless. Prenups do work if you do them right. Legally, they do work. But that's what I'm talking about. These guys are so focused on losing, and to a man, divorce is losing. So look at, and then just look at not even just what they're talking about in the red pill community. Look at it in general. Guys, at least in the Western society, they're seeing more increasing divorces, and what's happening? Guys are walking away from the divorce because of the risk of the divorce. They're walking away from marriage from the risk of divorce. Because guys don't like losing. They might get benefits when they marry her. They might get some years of benefits, but there is the risk. They know that there is the risk of losing. Guys do not like divorce at all because it's a loss. Divorce is a loss to a guy because we are the ones that propose the marriage. We are the ones that put that forth, and guys hate losing. That's what I mean by losing. That's why with the red pill community, when they talk about the marriage and stuff, they only focus on the divorce part. Well, what if this? What if that? When she divorces you, this will happen. When she divorces you, that'll happen. They focus so much on the negative of divorce, they completely just oversee any of the positives of marriage. That's what I mean by guys hate losing. They focus on let's try not to lose. Now, that part with the red pill example, with the marriage and divorce, that can be somewhat of a negative. But it can also be a positive. The reason why is because, as I explained, when they focus too much on the negative part, there are the underperforming guys where they're so against losing that, as anyone in business and entrepreneurship knows, most of the time you fail at something, then you're supposed to get better and better and better, and you improve, and then eventually you get your wins. Well, some guys are so against losing, they don't even bother trying. They'd much rather work that simple job where they're making 40, 50,000 a year. To them, they're winning because, let's just be honest, most of them are single. And to be honest, you can live on 50,000 a year as a single man and be okay. Guys are very simple. As long as you got some food, as long as you got some stuff, X-rated flicks to look at online and all that other stuff, which you can get. And then every now and then you might get thrown some pity pussy. But yeah, a lot of guys are actually comfortable with that lifestyle because they'd rather live in that and consider all the small wins that they're getting versus taking on this bigger objective and the risk of losing at it. So they stay where they are because they're so against losing that they don't want to have to take on the constant pressure of losing. That could be the negative of it. The positive of it is because guys are so against losing, when you do lose, we focus so much on ensuring we don't lose again, at least not in the same manner. That's how it's supposed to be. So I lost because I started a business. I didn't know exactly what the hell I was doing. I learned from that loss. I focused on that loss so much because I hate losing. I do not want to lose again. So as a guy, we learn from our loss, all our losses. At least, this is, like I said, this is the good part of it. You're supposed to learn from your losses and ensure you don't lose in that same manner again. And every time you lose, you get better at not losing. And then inevitably you get your wins. But this is why I say guys hate losing, because we focus on the losing part so much. It can be positive and negative. This is one of the dynamics that kind of differences. On the other end, and I didn't even talk about how, guys actually off themselves. When it comes to suicide after divorce, that's another thing I didn't talk about. Guys hate divorce and realizing their losses that they absolutely will off themselves. To which I say, if you need to get the help you need, because I do know, the guys that do suffer too badly from this, they rather than realizing that loss or living in that loss, they'd rather off themselves. So that is something when it comes to suicide. That's why the suicide rate is also higher for guys, because for guys, there is a group of guys that would rather do that than to live in a loss. Unfortunately, I might have to link, that hotline again, which I did in a prior broadcast, for those who might need help, mental help for anything. Because I said there is a positive side where you realize the loss, you learn from the loss, and then eventually you move forward, and then you start losing less and less and less. And then you start getting bigger and bigger wins. That's how it's supposed to be. But some guys, they focus so much on the loss or they've been taught wrong, they don't know how to properly use that to their benefit. So guys hate to lose. I'm using, of course, video game references. Guys hate to lose. On the opposite end of the spectrum, when it comes to women, women love winning. Women love winning. What does this mean? They focus more on the wins than they do their losses. How many females today do you guys know they got one or two kids out of wedlock, or maybe a few divorces, like one or two divorces with they got kids, and all they ever really talk about is how they got their degree. They went and traveled, and they did this, and they did that, and their kids is just struggling. Their kids are struggling, but of course, I also talked about lying earlier, and this is going to play a big part in this. But their life can be absolute shambles, but all they care about is they could be living in the hood, but guess what? I got that car. Women tend to focus on the winning. They tend to focus on the winning so much that they don't care about how many times they lose, unfortunately. Which that's a contradiction to guys, because guys hate losing. That's why the divorce rate, it is heavily on the women's side. Well, one, because to them divorce isn't failure, even though it is, but they lie to themselves so much that they believe that they can do better. Because to her, divorce is actually a win. Here's why. She thinks she's getting rid of a problem. So that's a win to her. In the long run, we already know most of the time it's a failure, because the number one reason for women going into poverty is divorce. But to them, I'm telling you the mindset. To them, she's getting rid of a problem because she got with a guy that wasn't able to perform to her standards or do what she desired. Therefore, he's the problem. She just got rid of the problem. She just won. Because now, despite whether or not she has a kid, despite whether or not she's older now, she's like, now I can go find something better. We already know this isn't how it tends to happen, but this is what she tells herself. This is the mindset. This is what she tells herself. That's why I said women focus on the winning. Women love to win. So to her, even if she gets financial benefit or not out of divorce, it gives her freedom to where now she knows she doesn't have to hide her escapades, but because most of the time, let's be real, most of the time a divorce is planned in advance. So when a woman knows she's planning her exit, she usually starts to kind of entertain other guys. Let's be real. We already know this. Hypergamy exists for a reason. But she's looking forward to getting that next better guy versus leaving the current guy that she's with, even though even though we know that he was probably the most likely guy that would marry her, which is why she got married to him in the first place. But she tells herself, nah, I messed up. She took the L. Remember what I said? She focuses on the win. So she tells herself, I took the L. I chose wrong, whatever. But now I'm getting rid of the problems. That's a win. He probably took care of her or whatever for however long they were married. Maybe she got something out of the divorce. Whether or not she had kids, maybe find some finances out of the divorce. So, hey, she focuses on the win. That's all she cares about. We already know about the single baby moms that have kids outside of wedlock and how their standards actually increased over time because all she's looking forward to are the wins. And if I were to bring back that scenario where a woman can take a 50-50 chance, where there's a 50-50 chance she'll lose everything, and there's a 50-50 chance that she'll double or triple what she currently has, more times than not, women actually would take that bet. It's the inverse to what men would do because she's not concerned about the losses, especially women today. Most likely because there is actually one key difference that really massages this narrative as to why women focus more so on the winning and they don't really care so much when they lose. It's because to men, we know nobody's coming to help us. No one's coming to save us. But to women, they know that somebody wouldn't mind coming to save them. She knows there's some sucker or the government or somebody's going to step in. She's going to get some sort of benefit somehow, some way, and there's an extra cushion for her to fail, which is why they don't really care too much about when they fail. Now, this is why lying ties into this. If divorce is the loss for the man when it comes to marriage, there's a record of that. Men can't lie about their divorces. You can't lie about this is where lying comes into play. So we can't lie about our losses, but to women, they control access to sex. So she can have sex with a man, and when she doesn't get marriage or a relationship, there is no record of that. There is no way for you to tell exactly how many men a woman has had sex with, but you can tell how many men she's been married to, which is why it's actually very much more lucrative and beneficial for her to lie because, one, there's no record of it, and two, who cares? Because there will still be a sucker, even if you can verify how many men she's had sex with, et cetera, how many times she's lost. There will still be a guy who will marry her, even though he might not meet her standards of what she would want in her husband. Meaning she might actually settle, like they like to say, she might actually settle for that guy and marry him. But at the end of the day, she knows, hey, I got a guy to marry me. Remember what I said earlier? They focus more so on the winning than they do the losing. Hey, I got a guy to marry me, and he's willing to spend all his money on me, even though it might not be that much money. That's still a win to her. Even though overall it's a loss because that guy that did marry her or was willing to marry her wasn't even within her original standards. She had to settle for it by her standards, even though technically that's probably the best she could do. But she would still see it as a win, and then guess what? When she drains him of what he has to offer, and or if or when she divorces him, remember what I said earlier, she still overlooks the overall loss of the situation and still only focuses on the win, which is, hey, I got with this guy, he didn't turn out right, but now I'm getting rid of the problem. That's a win. That's why I said women love to win. You even look at how when women, when they want to get back at you, a woman who's looking for revenge, she doesn't care how badly it might impact her, as long as she's able to get over on you. That's how some women they have these trap babies just so they can trap a dude who might be looking to leave her, or she realizes that the guy's running game on her. She'll have a trap baby and spend the rest of her life trying to leverage that kid against that guy, just so she can feel better about herself. And in her mind, she's winning because she got over on a guy that screwed her over. But on the back end, she lost because she had an illegitimate child, and that screws up any future potential mates for her. Well, remember what I said? They love to lose. They love to win, which is why they don't care too much about the losing part. That's one of the dynamics. So men hate losing, and women love winning. Next dynamic. If you remember my Trials of Men series, one of the most important things when it comes to male, you know, just the way men work in society and in nature, respect. Respect. Do you remember? You remember the RESPECT?
Put some respect on my name. You understand me? When y'all saying my name, put some respect on it.
Respect is absolutely critical for any male. I'd even say species, not just men in general. I think just male species. And here's why. Respect is what you respect someone's power, someone's ability to inflict damage upon you, someone's ability to reward you, etc., etc. It's respecting, inherently respecting others. And for men, we know we're based upon what we're able to do, not ourselves. We don't have inherent value like women do. You know, a woman can be born, she has a natural ability to give birth. She's attractive, physically attractive, tends to be, and if she's raised right, most, you know, and when I say raised right, I mean she's raised to be, you know, cooperative and whatnot to a man. Most men will desire her straight off the bat. Like, as soon as she turns, you know, legal age for marriage, a good deal of men, especially if she's attractive, most men will want her. As a man, you don't get that benefit. You can't be born attractive, and then most women will want or desire you as a husband and respect you. You got to be able to provide. You have to be able to produce. You are based on the value of the things you can accumulate. The problems you can solve, which today's society, the problem of money. The problem of money, but we are a society of specialists, meaning if you can solve the problem of money, you can pretty much solve any problem, most problems, if not any problem in society today. You can buy your food, you can buy your shelter, you can buy provisions, you can buy influence. Solving the problem of money is absolutely critical in today's society. That's why women value it so much, because they understand money means power. Women respect men with power. They want those guys at the top with the power. Now there are, you know, some exceptions to that rule, but you, unless you are able to farm and build your own house, you're able to catch your own food, etc., etc. You're able to make all these trinkets and stuff that a woman would desire and like. Even then, most women still wouldn't want you, because most guys can't build a darn car. You know, you can't, you know, manufacture a freaking car and everything without money to build the tools to build the cars. Because, you know, women today see the amenities of today's society and they desire them. They desire the best things in life. So even then, even if you are one of those guys who can, you know, provide your own food and stuff, there's only still a select group of women that will desire you, because especially if they've been exposed to modern society and all the amenities, which requires money to purchase those amenities. Most people cannot build them themselves. You got to buy them. So yes, even though there are some exceptions, even those exceptions still aren't valued highly by all or most women today. Okay? So I want to clarify that. Now that being said, respect It's very critical in not only in the wilderness but also in society. A guy knows that if other men respect him, he's less likely to be disrespected, or he's less likely to be threatened, or people take action and disrespect him, which is what I said earlier. Same thing in nature. The bigger, stronger lion is respected. Therefore, he actually gets in less fights because the other lions take one look at him and they're like, yeah, I ain't even trying to fight that. Same thing with any other species of animal. That's why most of the time they don't fight to the death. Most of the time they'll, like even deer and all these other animals, when they battle, they'll battle. They'll have a few exchanges, and then usually after those first few exchanges, it's obvious who the bigger, stronger male is, who the more capable male is. Whoever is smarter or more capable fighter and inflicts the most damage within those first few exchanges. Then the one that is harmed the most takes the L and walks away with his life. And he realizes, hey, you are better than I. I respect your ability to fight. I respect your size. I respect your power. And then therefore they step down. Very rarely do you see, matches where in the wilderness where they fight to the death. Because most of the time it's a respect principle, because the more someone fights, you will eventually harm yourself. And in the wilderness, you get hurt, it can mean death. Which is why when they do spar and they fight for dominance, most of the time it's not a fight to the death. It's a few exchanges. It's obvious who's the bigger, stronger, more capable, fighter or whatever, and then therefore one yields to the other to live on and fight another day. Because even if the bigger, stronger one were to fight to the death, he might win, but he might take some injuries along with that. And then guess what? There's another bachelor looking to fight him next in line. Which is why when they respect the bigger, stronger individual, people it's obvious. It's obvious, which is why they tend to yield before they even try anything. They're like, yeah, I'm not even going to try to fight this guy because I obviously respect his power, which benefits them both. Because one, the guy that knows he's going to lose, he doesn't take the loss. He just instead walks away. And it benefits the alpha because he's bigger and stronger. But remember, if there's a fight to the death, he might still be risking injury. So it helps him because now others are less likely to fight him for dominance because of his dominance, and he incurs less injury, and therefore he's able to rule even longer usually. That's why respect for men is so critical, and that's why men that disrespect are usually dealt with. Because guys understand, hey, if you got one of these rowdy little bunches, and as a matter of fact, another thing when it comes to respect is also honor, which a couple of those two kind of together because they do kind of run side by side. But I remember there was a story where they actually did have a group of adolescent lions over there in Africa, and these adolescent lions, they were doing something that was a danger to their own population. What these groups of male lions were doing, instead of honoring or respecting the alpha lions, which was because you had to fight for dominance, there was a pack of male lions, and instead of fighting with honor, they would jump the alpha male lions and kill them. Meaning you had a pack of I forgot exactly how many. It was at least two of them. I know that, but I think it was like 4 or 5 of them. It was a pack of male lions, and for some reason they went against their own, because animal kingdoms and everything, they have their own kind of, it's like ingrained in their DNA. But for some reason, they went against the social norms where they typically challenge the male lion, and they take over their pride and everything, and then they live out their lives in dominance, and then they're not usually, they don't group up in a pack. And then they're like, hey, let's go around and take out all of these alpha male lions. And that's what they did. And they actually had to be hunted down because they were so much of a threat that they were killing all the alpha lions, all the leaders of the pride. And they were going around because, they outnumbered them. You know, like usually a pride usually has like one, two, maybe three alpha lions. You know, depending on how they rule. And you had a pack of adolescent lions, even though they were weaker because they were younger. They still had the benefit of numbers. Therefore, one versus three is not a fair fight. They didn't care. They went around killing the other alpha lions and then leaving the prides. Like they weren't trying to take over the prides, and it actually was creating a bunch of anarchy because it was abnormal. Usually, when they kill the alpha lion, they're supposed to take over the pride and protect the pride, but they left the prides vulnerable because they were just going around killing the alphas. They weren't doing what they were supposed to do. So they actually had to be hunted down. And this is one of the, and I remember this watching this on Animal Planet some years back. You could probably look it up on Google. I'll see if I can find it when I get home. But they had to send in hunters because they were like, okay, these guys, this pride of lions, which is a male, the male group of lions, they're just running around killing all the alphas. Like this, they need to be stopped because if they don't, they're literally going to kill all the alpha lions, and then it's going to completely like they were predicting the extinction of lions pretty much because they were unstoppable. They were doing something that wasn't the norm. It wasn't honorable in their lion hierarchy, but they said screw that. We're going to do what we want to do and cheat, and that's what they were doing. They were cheating. There was no honor, no respect for the alphas because they said screw it. It's gonna be me and my group, and that's what you see a lot today. That's why you see a lot of these little beta males, and they're usually in a group or a gang, and then they try to gang up because they never fight one on one. And it relates to exactly. It relates exactly to that kind of mindset. Hey, it's me and my gang of dudes. We got guns and stuff. There ain't no honor in fighting with guns, unless you're at a war on a battlefield. I'm talking about in the streets. If you ain't willing to fight with your fist, nope. They said nope. Me and my gang of dudes got our little weapons and stuff, and we ain't trying to fight fair. That's why the lack of respect is dangerous to men, and guys understand that. They understand the benefit and the danger of that. That's why respect is absolutely critical for men, especially the men at the top. Because imagine if nobody respected them, it would leave them somewhat vulnerable because they constantly have to be fighting those that don't respect them to the point where you'd have a situation where you just have a bunch of dudes that don't give a crap about respect and honor. They say screw the laws. Women, on the other hand, where respect is critical for the survival of men, for men, because you maintain your dominance, you control your dominance, respect helps you garner that power and keep it for longer, et cetera, et cetera. For women, on the other hand, they don't care about respect. It's more so about vanity. So women, as long as a guy desires her, to her that's power. Which it is, to some extent. It's not, of course, not her inherent power, because her power is pretty much to get a man to provide for her, not to actually do the providing herself. Her power comes in the ability to get a man to provide for her. That's why, and it's a by any means necessary. That's why when they say there's no all's fair in love and war, women are absolutely willing. I mean, lying is part of the game because it's easy. It's easy and it gets them benefits. It gets easy benefits. That's why they lie about the body counts, because they know, and this is why I said women aren't stupid in one of the last ones. They know guys don't like women with high body counts, which is why they're more willing to lie about it. They're like, oh, I'll just lie about it. They can't prove it. You can't prove. You can't. It's not on paper. You can't prove how many people a woman has had sex with. You could prove how many divorces someone has, but you can't prove how many, people someone's had sex with. So just lie about it. It's easy. You can't prove what really happened in all her prior relationships, even though she might have been the problem. But hey, she'll just say he was the problem. He was abusive. He was it was toxic because of him. He didn't do what he had to do. Just lie about it. It's easy. This is why I was talking about the lie in the lie to me thing. That's why I said women. It's easy. Lying is ability to manipulate, and women they're supposed to be able to manipulate men, which is why lying is beneficial. It is what it is. Lying is beneficial, but lying doesn't work with men because you can't lie about the resources you have. You could try, but it's usually easy to kind of figure out whether or not somebody's renting something or if they own it and buy it. You can't look it up in a database online. Credit score. You can look at someone's credit score, whether or not everything they buy is on credit or if they actually have the cash. You can look that up. That all that stuff is objective. You can look that up. That's why lying to a man is risky because once you're found lying, guess what? You get less respect. Remember what I said about men? If you're a guy that's willing to lie, you get less respect from other men. As a woman, they don't give a crap about that. They don't care about. They are more than willing to lie. Respect is not important to them. To them, it is about vanity. How good they look, how good they can look. Which yes, their image is important, which is why they just lie about it. Oh, of course, some guys have probably heard the thing about the girl that's a virgin, even though she's definitely not a virgin. But that virtuous image of her is what she's pursuing because she understands the value of that. The more virtuous she seems, meaning the closer to virgin and pure, everything like that, she knows men value that. Therefore, it's easier to just lie to make it seem that way, her vanity, to make her look better. That's why it's easier. That's why vanity for a woman is important for survival. Because once she realizes that guys don't want her like that, that's a problem. Because now, remember what I said about survival? She gets, her survival is based upon whether or not she can get a guy to provide for her. And if she screwed the pooch, and let's just say every guy in the world knew exactly what she was, who she was, et cetera, shout out to Kim K. Her chance is if she can get a Kanye. If she can get a Ye, whom right now, he's actually starting to realize he got suckered. I'm just saying. But if she can get her sucker, then she good. But when she loses that sucker, when that sucker wakes up, because remember what I said, guys don't like losing, so we usually learn from our mistakes. That's the key thing. Guys usually learn from their mistakes. Just imagine how many generations of failing single mothers we've had, yet women still do it today. That's not exactly learning from your mistakes, which is why I said earlier women focus on the winning part, which to them, getting benefits for as little effort as possible is winning, i.e. welfare, i.e. child support, i.e. all those social benefits that requires little to no effort. That is winning. Remember what I said about that earlier? Yeah. Well, in that situation, he's learned from his mistakes. And everybody knows who Kim K is. That's why she couldn't get any guy other than a sucker that she was able to manipulate. I'm pretty sure she probably lied to him, being like, oh, those are the only guys I was ever with, and that's why I did the sex tape, et cetera, even though I'm pretty sure there were more guys than that, and he's starting to realize he fell for the okie doke. Similar to what I believe happened with with the Brittany Renner situation, where she was like, oh, don't believe everything you see online and people lie and stuff like that. I'm just trolling people. I just say stuff, and that's why do you think none of these guys came out and talk about me? Because nothing really happened. Like, look at what happened to me in 6ix9ine. People kept thinking I had sex with him, and look, I didn't have sex. You see what I'm talking about? They don't care. I would love to talk, to hear PJ's side of the story, but let's be real. He don't need to talk. I can kind of just see what happened. Yeah, he fell for the okie doke, and hopefully he learned from his lesson. He don't end up knocking up another one. He should have learned from his lesson. Just saying. Sorry for all the beeping in the background. This damn computer. Give me stupid stuff. Okay. So, respect is critical for survival for men, whereas with women, not so much. It's more so about vanity. which women do respect their image. But that's the thing. It's more so of a selfish nature because, and that's one thing you have to realize with women. It's more so that they're more so their survival. They're more so they care about what themselves. There is a selfish nature to it. This is why when you talk about psychological tendencies, guys tend to be sociopathic when it comes to certain tendencies, and women tend to be narcissistic because their vanity is absolutely critical to them because they understand as long as guys are interested in me, I have the capability of getting whatever it is I desire. Usually, that's why that interest in attention is so vital because to her, she knows once that phone stops ringing, once the guy's interest drops in her, and once she starts to realize, oh crap, guys ain't really into me like that, she knows she's in the danger zone. And that's usually when women try to lock down the next best thing coming. I.e., they talk about women hitting the wall. So that's respect is vital, critical for survival, and vanity is critical for survival. Next thing, honor. So I talked a little bit about honor, but I don't want to get too long with it. But honor for men value honor. Because we value respect. We respect the order of things. Women, on the other hand, nope. I already told you about how women are more like, or are absolutely willing to lie about stuff. Sometimes it's ridiculous because, you can absolutely know somebody did something and she will straight up lie to your damn face. I find that interesting. Like, you got them on video and everything, and she's like, no, that never happened. But when it comes to honor in men, of course, I already said how lying usually doesn't benefit a man like that because it's easy to kind of just look at the result that he has. Nobody cares about how you got where you got. All they care about is what you got. So we can look it up. That's why I said like lying usually doesn't benefit a man the same way it can benefit a woman. Yes, there are some little tweaks here and there, but I'm not going to get into that right now. I'm just telling you what it is. Honor, honor, honor. Of course, I talk about honor for one's family and stuff like that. Legacy, and I'm actually going to give a good example when it comes to men and how and why honor. It's usually a group thing, but we are a social creature. So, when it comes to like respect, not only, you want respect from others, but it's also honoring, the rules of engagement, honor for things someone has done or what a culture has done, honor. Look it up if you want to. But a good example is if I were to look at, imagine you have a culture, you're going to war with them. Your people are more so, they want to be able to get home to their families and stuff. But imagine you're going to war against a culture, which both of you have comparable firepower. Both of you have comparable firepower, but there is one key difference. One culture, its honor is off the charts. These men find honor in dying for their country and their cause. That is absolutely powerful. When you have a group of men where there is honor, like people think about, Spartan culture and all things. The reason why they were so feared is those group of men it was an honor to die in the field of battle. And there is a more so modern day example of this that actually played out exactly how you think it would. Remember the World War? Pearl Harbor? Japan and America? Why do you think that the only recorded use in warfare of one of the deadliest weapons ever created to date was only used during that war against Japan. Remember what I said? Those men found honor in dying for their country. Their resolve was damn near absolute. Usually, when you can rout an enemy when you cut off their supply lines, etc., etc. You know, you do the necessary things. Usually, that helps rout the enemy, which can help your forces to win the battle and then therefore win the war. But when you have a group of men where you use your normal tactics and those men fight just as hard, if not harder, when they're cut off from their resources, it pretty much renders any of your tactics useless because any of your things that you think are going to work doesn't matter because these men are literally willing to die on the field of battle. Nothing you do will stop their resolve. They would rather die than to lose. That is powerful. That's why, to this day, I've always said there was a reason why America used the atomic bomb then. Not once, but twice. And then threatened to use it to end the war if things did not go as planned. Essentially, I wouldn't want to fight that either. If I'm just being honest, because you know your forces can be easily routed because all they're trying to do is survive and live because they don't really find honor in dying for their country like that. They just want to live their lives. But that other group, oh yeah, they're willing to die for their cause. They're not easily routed. They're not easily manipulated. They said, "Nah, I'm willing to die for this." That is powerful. That's why in that case, those bombs were absolutely necessary because had we gone to war, it wouldn't have been pretty. It would have been very long and drawn out, and they know, hey, we can't fight a war on two fronts. We would have had our hands tied, if I'm just being honest. And history might be a little different than what it is today. Honor. There have been civilizations, they have different levels of honor. I know a lot of people, especially those in anime and everything, they do respect that part of Japanese culture, that honor system that they had, where they'd rather die than to live in shame. Remember what I said earlier about men hate losing? That part too. It all ties together. But there is a lot of respect for, the samurai culture and everything like that in Japanese culture. Of course, it changed when Western civilization came around. They had different weapons, which, of course, guns at the time were not seen as honorable. Because you pretty much take someone out without ever really engaging in combat with them. There was no honor in that. And Western civilization was like, screw honor. We just trying to win. But like I said, honor. There is a place amongst men for honor. That is a fact. It is it is a virtuous trait. Women, on the other hand, they okay. So honor for a man is his willingness to fight and die for his family, right? He has to provide and all that stuff. For the most part, guys have always maintained that, even to this day, which is why one of the reasons why a guy, going back to the RP community, why they don't want to have to go down that road and get married and have kids is because they know the risk of failure is high and it would doom their family. So guys would rather not do that in an effort to not fail. Because guys don't like failing, especially when it comes to our legacy, our genetic legacy, our children, our families. We want to be able to fight. That's why in divorce court, guys literally go bankrupt fighting for their family, usually. And on the other hand, we aren't. I mean, I'm just saying, ladies, come on now. We already know who the vast majority of the divorce filings are, who usually seeks divorce more times than not. It's the ladies. Now, their honor, even when I say women lack honor, I mean to the level of men. Remember, just like when I said men hate losing and women love winning, that doesn't mean that the opposite isn't true for both. It's just that's what they focus on. Men more so focus on not losing, women more so focus on winning. Right? Now, when it comes to the honor part, that doesn't mean women completely lack honor or that kind of, that doesn't mean that. Some might, but that doesn't mean that. But what it does mean is an honor for a woman is supposed to be her ability to take care of her husband and raise her children successfully. I don't see that too much today. I literally just brought up the divorce rate and how women are more than willing to divorce and leave their husbands in worse a state than they found them, meaning that she as a wife failed because her husband was worse off after her leaving. Not to mention the fate of the children tends to turn out worse because of her choice to leave her husband and try to raise them on her own. But to her, as long as her kids are alive, she's a good mom. Hey, I'm a good mom. My kids are alive. They eat and they got somewhere to sleep and they wear clothes. I'm a good mom. She doesn't care about whether or not they're competent adults, as both men or women. She doesn't care about none of that. All she knows is, hey, you're alive. I did my job. I'm a good mom. There used to be that component of honor in being a mother and working with your husband to raise the kids. That used to be honorable. Today, what's one of the things that we see modern women trash? Being a stay-at-home mom. They see it as being weak. They see it as being unfavorable. I ain't gonna cook. I don't cook. I don't clean. I don't do none of that. Which is absolutely bad if you have kids. You're not gonna cook and clean for your kids? Okay. Good luck with that. They don't see they don't respect the women of old. They don't respect that actually doing the duties of a mother, or what it traditionally meant to be a mother, especially when it means to be a stay-at-home mother. Because some people look at that and they think that it's an easy job. It is a job. I mean, it's people like to say it's unpaid labor, but my thing is, just because you're not getting paid for it, you are getting paid for it through your husband, because it benefits him and the family. Eventually, the payment is, one, it's the honor and respect for mothers, which still holds up today because Mother's Day is absolutely booming. There is respect and honor for mothers, or at least how it's supposed to be. Even though, I will say that it has taken a back seat as to how it actually is. Most mothers today do not do not nearly as much work as the mothers of old had to do, even though we have the capabilities of actually doing more. Washing laundry doesn't take all day. You have machines for that. You have dishwashers. You have all these amenities that make it actually easier to be a stay-at-home mom today, yet women today still don't want to be stay-at-home moms. They don't find honor in that. That's why I said women lack honor, because they don't find that honorable. In fact, they don't care about honor anyway. All they care about is their vanity, to be honest. That's really that's the selfishness nature of it. Because think about it. They're willing to go get these illegal butt things down south when it's like a 50-50 chance of death just for their vanity. They find value in that because there's like, hey, there's a 50-50 chance I'm going to die, or I'm going to get this big old butt that I think that I'm going to be able to use to leverage to get a better guy. And it's easier to just go ahead and get this big old butt than to actually be a good stay-at-home mom that's actually worth a damn. They don't care about doing the work. That's all they care about. Honor is lacking. Absolutely lacking. I got some more, but I think I might do this like a two-part thing. This is like the first part of the thoughts. And I thought that was interesting. So, till next time, folks.